All right, I just wanted to do another follow-up to the series I've done. So this would be number 9 in the series, just to solidify some more knowledge about the Constitution, what we think is a Constitution, and also the Magna Carta, and how that connects to what I've been talking about with the police. So I'm going to start with this different video. I'm just going to play the first minute of it, and then we'll take it from there.
What's really taking place on the earth is that a small cabal of people who don't have the general interests of the public at mind are really controlling this world, and through manipulation and techniques that basically subvert the human consciousness, they are getting us to hand over our sovereignty and our natural law rights. And in doing that, all the power and influence of this world is flowing right to them. And people don't understand how this works because they don't really know enough about themselves. Ultimately, all knowledge that is really a solution to this problem is self-knowledge. What their main aims are is to put the human population into a trance-like state that resembles sleep, that resembles hypnosis, and basically bring in a completely closed society or a police state.
All right, just thought I'd leave it there. Now I'm going to put up something that could be a bit provoking for some people. This is what I have at the front of my door. So yes, let's see if that provokes a little bit of reaction in some people. So now I'm going to go and try and explain the Constitution again, what we think is a Constitution, and who wrote it, right? So I'm going to go into a little bit of a description, a little slide into what a Constitution is, and then I'll give some more detail. So what is a Constitution? A codified, which means systematically arranged, agreement between the people and the office holder of sovereign, which is just another word for head of state, detailing the authority granted to those in office on how the people wish to be governed. A legitimate constitution recognizes that the people are supreme, therefore will have safeguard mechanisms to ensure they are governed by consent. So what that means, that safeguard mechanism, is that trial by jury system I was explaining in the previous episodes. That's the safeguard mechanism. That's, the individual juror is the final arbiter of what is law. And a security clause that protects the people's sovereignty. So there's no such thing in any of the constitutions we have, right, that we believe are our constitutions. So I'm just going to go over the 1901 Australia Constitution of the Commonwealth of Australia, should I say. It's an act of Parliament, meaning it's a legislative fiction which Parliament wrote, meaning it cannot be a constitution because Parliament has no grant of authority to write constitutions. Parliament also created parliamentary immunity, which they have no grant of authority to do so. So you would notice how they keep giving themselves immunity. Parliament deceived the people into believing this act of Parliament was a constitution because the people were made ignorant of what Parliament has the authority to do. And it had many constitutional sentiments written into it to create the perception, through deception, that its intended purpose was to protect the rights of the people. Because Parliament created this fraud and had the people vote on it via referendum, the people believed in its authenticity without realizing they just handed over their supremacy to the fictional administrator of the will of man to now administrate over its creator, the people. The other thing about that is, which I didn't cover in the previous ones, is that there's no such thing as a Commonwealth of Australia. That's something that evaded me for years. I never really thought about it until it came to my attention. I went, yeah, actually there isn't. There's only one Commonwealth, and that's the Commonwealth of Great Britain. So there's your second clue that it's a fraud, on top of the fact that there's no constitutional monarch in place to grant authority to any of the colonies to have their own constitutions. So I just wanted to pause for a moment just so I can grab Just another piece, I'll be right back. All right, so this is what I wanted to grab. Just a bit more detail about Australia and how we're a constitutional monarchy. You'll even hear the criminals, the imposters, that are acting as if they have authority in our parliament. You'll even hear them say that we're a constitutional monarchy, right? Even though they created a fictional Queen of Australia. Australia is a constitutional monarchy, meaning that the head of state is the people's representative that controls government, hence the term Her Majesty's government. So under the British Constitution, the head of state, which is also known as the monarch, must take a coronation oath, which is their job contract. In that contract, it clearly states they will uphold the laws of God, aka natural law, hence man's best interpretation of natural law, which is common law. As soon as the monarch breaks the contract, they are out of a job. So also under the British Constitution, the monarch cannot pass their job down to the heirs, meaning that the man or woman who holds the highest office of the land, aka the head of state or monarch, must be elected into office by the people. So Queen Victoria II was not a constitutional monarch, therefore had no authority to grant the colonies their own constitution. So well before Queen Victoria, there has been no constitutionally lawful monarch to grant assent since 1686, which means that all English colonies were founded in treason, including Australia. I'm not sure about USA when that was founded, but I have some, I heard some whispers that too was founded on treason. The governments in this country were not constitutionally assented to and are all treasonous. I know that's going to be hard for a lot of people to hear that. Any constitutions, acts, statutes, or legislation they create is treason because there is no constitutionally lawful monarch to assent to them. So King James II, he was a Catholic king working for Rome. He treasonously took the throne. That is why you'll see the King James Bible in all the corporate courtrooms throughout Australia. So a lot of people that are part of the CLC movement, you'll hear them quote the King James Bible, and like that's got some kind of authority. So that's another clue as to what's going on with those guys. The 1215 Magna Carta supersedes all laws. This is really, really important stuff. All right. So I'll say it again. The 1215 Magna Carta supersedes all other laws, as the other laws are foreign laws brought into our country from foreign nations that did not beat us in open battle. Admiralty law, otherwise known as corpus juris, which is Roman admiral law, which our courts and our government are being run by. That's what we've got right now in our country. We've got that foreign corpus juris, Roman admiralty law. It's a foreign law, and it's come from the EU and UN. Now, remember, in 1973, Gough Whitlam, he signed the Unidroit Treaty, which means that's when all those foreign laws came into effect. So bringing them into our country was treason. The Magna Carta does not ever interact with foreign laws. So there is a treason clause, which is Article 61 in the Constitution for a reason. And that's the reason, because to stop us from being owned by any other foreign power. So the 1215 Magna Carta was sealed forever binding in perpetuity. Remember I explained perpetuity means across all realms, and it exists forever until it's changed by the people. It cannot ever be undone, amended, or repealed. Government can never redo, amend, or repeal any of it. They don't have the power because they are the fiction. We, the people, are the only ones with the power. The only thing that can change it is a Commonwealth-wide constitutional convention of the people, which we've never had. This means that the first and original 1215 Magna Carta is the only constitution in the Commonwealth, including Australia, New Zealand has ever had. It is the current and only one. So, like I said, some of the giveaways before, I'll go over it again, that the 1901 Commonwealth of Australia Constitution was an act of Parliament. It gave Parliament sovereignty and made the people its property by referring to them as persons. But you'll see that. And a person is just another word for an indentured slave. And there's no such thing as a Commonwealth of Australia, like I said earlier. And there's no clause in this fraudulent document that enshrines the defining principle of democracy, which I've gone through, which is that safeguard mechanism of trial by jury, that puts the people in charge of government. So just thought I'd go over that again, just to make that really clear, as to just the power of what the Magna Carta is and why it's been denied or denied to us as what we really need to have it in our schools if we had a legitimate democracy running. So I'm going to end that there, and then I'm going to do another one which goes into more detail into the history of the Magna Carta and Article 61 and some solutions that can actually help us out of this mess real quick and bring all those criminals to justice very rapidly. We'll see you in the next one.